You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications.
What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review Monday Night Raw from June 6, 2022. We got a lot of things to talk about right here on the Raw review. My apologies for uploading this Raw review way too late. Of course, this is 2 days after the show, and it's been a common occurrence for the past couple of weeks. I usually tend to upload the Raw review really late. That is my fault. My apologies, but just literally at moments before I literally started this recording, I have been having problems with OBS like crazy. Every time when I try to film a video, it constantly starts lagging and I keep restarting and restarting, but finally it looks like it's working right now. But if you guys do see any lagging in the video, my apologies right there. It's just my OBS is just not working really well as of late. But we got a lot of things to talk about right here on the Raw review. I'm actually uploading this like an hour, or I should say recording this an hour before AEW Dynamite, so I'm really going to hurry my ass off when it comes to this review. But we got two major things that happened on Monday Night Raw. Of course, we had Seth Rollins attacking Cody Rhodes, basically swerving. So we basically had two swerves on this show. We had Seth Rollins attacking Cody Rhodes at the end, where we all thought Seth Rollins was going to be turning babyface, but that is not the case. Of course, he basically attacked Cody Rhodes to write Cody Rhodes off of television, considering the fact that Cody Rhodes is injured. He has a torn pec, and he managed to wrestle throughout, his match against Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell, which big props to Cody Rhodes, because a lot of people, especially in the modern day WWE locker room, can't pull off something like that. And I think Cody Rhodes, I believe that Cody Rhodes definitely has that old school mentality, and I do believe that he's just fantastic at what he does, and the guy definitely pulled it off 100% at Hell in a Cell. But Cody Rhodes most likely is written off of WWE television as of late right now. But also, the big topic is, of course, Edge and Judgment Day. Edge is no longer the leader of Judgment Day. Edge actually got kicked out of Judgment Day, and the new leader is Finn Balor. We got a lot of things to talk about right here on the review, but before I get on with all of this craziness going on with Monday Night Raw, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe to the for more content, and as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the Broken Havoc podcast is available on audio platforms. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. If you guys want to check out the Broken Havoc podcast on audio format, it's available on all of those platforms. All right. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Of course, Monday Night Raw kicked off with the one and only, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Of course, Cody Rhodes wrestled a grueling match against Seth Rollins at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Of course, that was the main event of the entire show, because of the fact that Roman right now has time off, and Raw and SmackDown is without a world champion. So really, Cody is really the guy that is bringing people in when it comes to actual care of the show, if that makes any sense. But yeah, man, Cody wrestled injured. He wrestled with one arm at Hell in a Cell, and again, man, I'm gonna put over Cody Rhodes right here, man, dude. Cody Rhodes, I'm going to give him a lot of props, considering the fact that, not a lot of guys will pull off something like that, especially in this day and age. Of course, Cody Rhodes has that old school mentality, and of course, the old school mentality is, you work through your injury, even if you got injured, you finish the match, all that stuff. One example I got was Triple H, of course. Triple H, he injured his quad back in 2001. Dude, I believe it was a run-in. And he actually still managed to finish the segment, which is absolutely crazy, man. I could have just imagined the amount of pain that Triple H was in, and I can't even imagine the amount of pain that Cody Rhodes was in. But Cody Rhodes, much props to Cody Rhodes, because really not a lot of people, especially in this modern day age of wrestling, where really the mindset in the locker room is very different backstage, and that's a good thing to say, because I feel like it's not really as toxic as it was back in the day. It's much more of a safe environment, in my opinion. But overall, man, Cody Rhodes, hats off to Cody Rhodes because the guy absolutely deserves it. But Cody Rhodes kicks off Monday Night Raw. Of course, we got a standing ovation from the crowd. Of course, the crowd knows what's going on. Of course, Cody does have a torn pec. He welcomes us to Monday Night Raw, which I honestly hate whenever wrestlers do that, whenever they open up the show. I just think it's constantly repetitive. Not only that, it's pure cringe, in my opinion. But he welcomes us to Monday Night Raw. We got a bunch of thank you, Cody chants. He talks about how it's a privilege on what they do or what he does, by that being wrestle in the ring. He talks about how he will admit that tearing his pec is demoralizing, but it doesn't want to be sad. He wants to. He basically wants to talk about another Rhodes in his family, and of course, he's talking about his daughter Liberty. It talks about how basically when she's old enough, he wants to show her the match last night, and he wants her to let her know that even at the worst of times, you fight it out. And he fought one of the best freaking superstar wrestlers in the world, that being Seth freaking Rollins. He doesn't like him either, but the chapter, the trilogy, the book is closed, and it's now in the archives. Talks about how he's officially done with Seth Rollins, and with that in mind, he wants to talk about what is above him. And of course, the camera goes up, and it shows the Money in the Bank briefcase. And he talks about, he wants to, talks about how the contract, eluded him his entire career, and he talks about how he's a little banged up, but if somehow he was able to climb the ladder and he sees the Money in the Bank briefcase, he talks about how he basically wants to cash it in and become the WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion. But who interrupts? Seth Rollins' music. Seth Rollins comes out, and Seth Rollins, what happens? He basically talks about how, he still does not like him, but after what he put himself through last night, he has earned his respect. And the world is saying maybe one of the gutsiest performances in the history of this industry. Talks about how he's the toughest person he has ever been in the ring with, and he is the last person to speak this, but Dusty would be very proud of his baby boy. And we get a bunch of Cody chants, and again, another standing ovation from the crowd. And he came out after WrestleMania to show respect, and he wanted to return the favor. So what happens? Both shake hands. Rollins leaves. Cody then, just soaks in the standing ovation from the audience. Basically, everybody's cheering for Cody. Of course, we do not know how long Cody is going to be out. But, I do not think he's going to be showing up at Money in the Bank, even though he teased that he was going to be at Money in the Bank. I honestly do believe that he's not going to be at the pay-per-view. I just think I can't see Cody Rhodes pulling off, especially, with a torn pec, wrestling not Hell in a Cell match. He did that. But, doing a ladder match. I'm sorry, I just can't see that happening. But he got a standing ovation from the crowd. But what happens after that? So once Cody Rhodes comes to the stage, Rollins from behind runs, and you can see him running from behind, attacks Cody with the sledgehammer. So Seth Rollins was lying the entire time. Seth then targets the injured pec of Cody, and once we're back from commercial break, Cody actually, the doctors are coming in, and they actually want Cody to get him on a stretcher, but Cody refuses, and he walks off on his own. It goes to show you the dedication that Cody Rhodes has. Overall thoughts on this, man. I thought this segment was absolutely amazing. I don't care what anybody says, people can talk about how bad Raw is, and it is bad, but I will say, man, when it comes to this opening segment, I absolutely loved what I watched. It shows you that this feud is not over between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, even though they wrestled 3 times on pay-per-view as well. So most likely, when I definitely do see their next match happening maybe in the next year. We do not know how long Cody Rhodes is going to be out, but if he is going to be out that long, a lot of people are saying he's going to be going to the Royal Rumble, or it could be a situation in which Seth Rollins ends up winning Money in the Bank. We honestly do not know what the hell is going to be going on, on both WWE and AEW. Like, literally, it's a shit show, mainly because of the fact that we got a lot of injuries. We got Cody Rhodes injured, CM Punk, who is the AEW World Champion, he got injured, Bryan Danielson is injured. It's absolutely insane, but, again, we're going to have to wait and see what WWE is going to be doing, considering the fact that Cody Rhodes right now is their top draw, and I don't want anybody to question that, because it's proven right now in the ratings, because Raw recently did a 1.8, in which that was a huge increase right there. Cody Rhodes is 100% the draw. I don't care what anybody says. Cody Rhodes is the draw. But yeah, man, we're going to have to wait and see in the near future on what WWE does when it comes to Money in the Bank. A lot of people always said that, WWE should book Cody Rhodes for Money in the Bank. But again, since he has a torn pec, I don't know if that's going to be the case. But we're going to have to wait and see. We got one match that makes absolutely no sense. Becky Lynch versus Dana Brooke. Yes, we got Becky Lynch versus Dana Brooke. So so the thing that follows an amazing segment, we follow this with Becky Lynch versus Dana Brooke. Come on now. So Becky, basically, the match starts, but all the jobbers come out, your R-Truths, your Tozawas, all those 24/7 geeks that, they all run out. And basically what happens is Dana rolls up Tozawa in the ring and wins the 24/7 championship. And we go to commercial break. And once we're back from commercial break, what happens? Becky Lynch challenges Dana Brooke for the 24/7 title. This woman, Becky Lynch, challenges for the 24/7 championship. Let me remind everybody that this woman was in a fantastic triple threat match the previous night. A fantastic opener between her, Asuka, and Bianca Belair. It was an amazing opening match. Probably I'd put that in my future top 30 list of the best matches of the entire year. But again, man, Becky Lynch goes from being in a fantastic opening match at the pay-per-view to challenging for the 24/7 championship. I can't take WWE creative seriously. That's how brain dead and stupid these people are. But match starts. Becky Lynch is in control, but Asuka comes out. Becky goes for an exploder, but then Dana Brooke goes for the roll-up. We get a clothesline by Becky, but then at this point, Dana Brooke is in control. At this point, we get a cover engineer fall, but then Dana goes to the top, and she goes for a senton. And then Becky goes for the boot. And then we get a roll-up by Dana, and I believe it was Dana Brooke that won the match. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Dana Brooke did get the win. I messed this up. So I literally wrote in my notes, roll-up by Dana, and Becky wins the match. That's completely wrong. It led me to completely forget who won the match. But I think it was a situation in which Dana won the match. But again, man, why would you have Becky Lynch challenge for the 24/7 championship? A lot of people always say, oh, but a lot of people crapped on, the big time Becky Lynch gimmick, but now you guys are complaining that she's competing for the 24/7 championship. No shit, of course we're all complaining, mainly because of the fact that it's Becky Lynch we're talking about. Why is Becky Lynch challenging for the 24/7 championship if she was in, a main match at Hell in a Cell the previous night? It makes absolutely no sense. And the whole 24/7 championship, them doing, oh yeah, this is going to be a 24/7 championship. This is going to be a normal match for the 24/7 championship. So all of the 24/7 rules are lifted. But again, the title is called the 24/7 championship for a reason. So again, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Lack of logic. It's stupid. Let's move on. We got The Miz with Maurice, with special guest, of course, Riddle. This is the most must-see WWE talk show in history, Miz TV. I'm kidding. But we got Miz TV. Basically, Miz puts over Maurice and talks about Money in the Bank. And, he talks about how he wants to win Money in the Bank, which, honestly, Miz is the last person I think that he will win Money in the Bank, in my opinion. But he wants to win it, and he welcomes all of us to their premiere party. Following Raw, there will be the season premiere of Miz and Mrs. on the USA Network. And then, Riddle comes out, completely interrupts Miz and Maurice. Riddle then tells Maurice bonjour, and he wanted to introduce himself in French because that's what Riddle does, which was pretty entertaining, by the way. And he gives a shout-out to Randy, and he hopes that he can come back soon. Unlike his stepdad, Miz says that Randy's career is over. Now Riddle is all alone, and he will get his ass whooped by the Bloodline on a constant basis. Then Riddle immediately shuts him up, and, Riddle then goes on a fire-ass promo. He talks about how he is tired of fighting Roman's minions, and he actually wants to fight Roman, basically teasing a future match between both him and Roman Reigns, which, honestly, I would love to see. I would love to see a match between Riddle and Roman Reigns, because, again, we do not know how long Randy Orton is going to be out. But again, man, Roman and Riddle sounds like a really good program in my opinion. I definitely be down for that. But says that he's going to take something from him, and says that he's going to be taking the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. Honestly, I do see Riddle as being a main event guy in the near future. It makes total sense. But he talks about how there was a reason why John Cena is playing Peacemaker while, Miz is playing Homemaker with his wife because of the fact that his wife drags him by his balls, which is hilarious. Maurice then gets pissed and talks about how Miz has average balls. And then she goes on a rampage talking about all the balls that Miz has, which is hilarious. And, Riddle then asks Miz to prove it. But then Maurice says that he will basically fight Riddle now. But then Miz asks the crowd if he wants him to fight Riddle. But, of course, he says no. But out of nowhere, Tommaso Ciampa attacks Riddle out of nowhere and just leaves. And then what happens? Miz changes his mind, which would lead to Miz versus Matt Riddle, which, Ciampa attacking random people out of nowhere makes absolutely no sense. Like, what is the story behind? I guarantee you this is a new character. First off, they changed Tommaso Ciampa's name to just Ciampa. I don't understand why Vince McMahon is so obsessed with shortening people's names. Like, it makes no sense to me, at least. It's dumb and stupid. Like, with some wrestlers it works, but some other wrestlers it's just plain stupid. But, is that Ciampa's new gimmick now? He's just going to randomly attack people with for no reason whatsoever? It's a dumb gimmick. But we get Miz versus Riddle. Of course, Miz is in control because of the fact that Riddle did get attacked by Ciampa. Riddle then fights back. We get an overhead kick by Riddle, but then Riddle goes for the running forearm. Riddle then goes for the power slam, but then Riddle takes Miz to the middle rope. He proceeds to hit the DDT, but then Miz counters the RKO. Miz then goes to the outside, but then Riddle misses a running kick from the apron. At this point, Riddle then exposes Miz, and now Miz is just all exposed wearing his underwear. And then Riddle ducks and hits, he ducks from a hit from Maurice's purse. Usually when Miz hits somebody with Maurice's purse, there's usually like a brick in there. But that wasn't the case considering the fact that Riddle did duck. Riddle then hits the RKO out of nowhere and gets the win. So pretty short match. Again, Riddle teasing a match with Roman Reigns. Maybe that can be one of the matches in the near future when Roman comes back because he's going to be out for a long time, because of the fact that he has a long vacation. But we're going to have to wait and see, man. Things when it comes to Roman Reigns it's getting a little interesting. But again, I'm just really interested in where WWE is going to be going. We got the Street Profits versus the Usos in a championship contenders match. I absolutely hate that idea of championship contenders matches, in my opinion. Sometimes whenever WWE does a championship contenders match, you would have a guy literally instantly pin the champion without the champion getting any offense whatsoever, and the match would just end like that. But actually, this wasn't the case. And how many times we saw the Street Profits versus the Usos? We saw a lot, and I mean a bunch. A bunch of times. But we got the Street Profits versus the Usos in a championship contenders match. So, yeah, man. So the match starts. We got a backslide by Angelo Dawkins. Then he follows up by hitting a spinning elbow. We get a cover and a near fall after that. We got a double flatliner by the Street Profits on Jimmy Uso. We got a cover and a near fall. Both Usos at this point are on the outside. At this point, Jay and Montez Ford are legal. Then Jay is in control over Montez Ford, and then we get a couple of chops by Ford. At this point, Ford hits a dropkick on Jey Uso. Then Dawkins makes the tag, but then Dawkins throws Ford on Jey Uso. We get a cover by Dawkins and a near fall. Then Jay goes to the outside, but then Ford makes the tag. We got a waistlock applied by Ford. Ford then goes for the side suplex. Ford then clotheslines Jay to the outside. At this point, Ford is on top of the steel steps, and he hits a senton on Jay on the outside. Once we're back from commercial break, both Usos go for the double spine buster on Angelo Dawkins. At this point, Jimmy is in control over Angelo. Then Jay's goes for a right hand, and even though he isn't the legal man, then after that, Jey Uso makes the tag. He hits a jumping forearm in the corner. We get a cover by Dawkins and a near fall. We get repeated rights by Dawkins, and then at this point, Jay hits a devastating right on Angelo Dawkins. Jimmy then makes the tag. Both Usos then work on Dawkins, but then Jimmy goes for a hip attack in the corner. Jimmy then clotheslines Dawkins. Then, Dawkins tries to fight off both Usos, but at this point, he's on the outside. Jay then clotheslines Dawkins. Then after that, both Usos and Dawkins are on the steel steps. Once we're back from commercial break once again, Jay runs into a back elbow by Ford. Jay then gets taken to the outside, and then he hits a cross body after that. Jay then hits Jimmy goes for the suicide dive. Then Dawkins goes for a somersault on the outside. Dawkins then goes for the spine buster. Ford goes for the beautiful frog splash after that. We get a cover and a near fall when Jimmy Uso makes the save. Ford then gets sent to the ring post, but then he gets sent to the barricade. Jay then gets caught from trying to hit a super kick. Then he gets taken to the timekeeper's area. Ford gets back in the ring, and the match ends in a freaking countout, causing the Street Profits to win a championship contenders match via countout. Overall thoughts, man. Again, the finish being a countout is just kind of lazy in my opinion. I mean, it just makes, I don't know, man. When it comes to countouts like that, I think it's just kind of dumb, but that's just me. I mean, I don't like the idea of championship contenders matches. To me, it makes no sense. Like, why would you have one match that, you're going to book for a pay-per-view, and you're going to have that same match on television, but the winner of that match, gets a title shot. I mean, that makes no sense. I mean, I would have just had a normal number one contenders match with two challengers instead of the supposed challenger versus the champion, in my opinion. But yeah, that is just me. We got Bobby Lashley. Yes, Bobby Lashley has a segment. Overall thoughts on Bobby Lashley, man. Of course, Bobby Lashley did face MVP and Omos in a great match, actually. Surprisingly, it was actually a pretty good match, and he did get a huge reaction in the crowd at Allstate Arena in Chicago, which was very weird to me because really, throughout the past couple of months, I really haven't been invested in the whole feud between both Omos and Bobby Lashley. I thought that feud, in my opinion, is just kind of a joke. But again, man, it was a pretty good match nonetheless. Talks about how he considered MVP to be family, and at Hell in a Cell, MVP and Omos had all of the advantage, and talks about how the saying goes, "You never interrupt your enemies when you make a mistake." The biggest mistake that they made was stab him in the back. Talks about how it says it felt damn good putting MVP into the Hurt Lock, and he was just thinking, but what happens? Austin Theory, that jackass, interrupts and then talks about how this is his time and he deserves to be out here, not Lashley. Lashley is out here because he had help. He talks about how he's out here because he won his match all by himself. Theory then tells Lashley to get out of his ring, and then he asks for a selfie, which is freaking stupid. But then Lashley wants a match, and then Austin then asks him to check his bicep. Then after that, once Austin basically shows off and flexes his bicep, Lashley proceeds to flex his own biceps. So then after that, Lashley asks Theory to put that title on the line. And then he says that, Theory says that he doesn't deserve a title match. But sure, he will beat Lesnar. He beat Lesnar, McIntyre, Orton, but he hadn't beaten Mr. McMahon's protege, the youngest United States champion in WWE history. Lashley then kicks him to the outside, and the segment ends. So does this lead to a future match between Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley? That's where I see where it was going. I mean, of course, at Hell in a Cell, Bobby Lashley did tease that he wanted to chase back the WWE Championship, but I honestly think that's not going to happen considering the fact that, I feel like the current plans are really, set in motion for the WWE title. But again, I mean, those matches could easily change, especially now considering the fact that there are a bunch of top guys that are injured, like, for example, Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes was definitely in those plans for the WWE Championship. I mean, he's still definitely going to be a part of those plans, but still. We got Dominik Mysterio versus Veer Mahan. Veer goes for a waistlock takedown on Dominik. At this point, Dominik mocks Veer, and then Veer gets taken to the outside, but then Veer chases Dominik multiple times. Dominik then goes for a baseball slide on Veer, but then Dominik then lands onto the apron. He hits a kick on Veer, and then Dominik goes for the leg drop. Veer then goes for a splash, and then at this point, Veer is in control. He throws Dominik to the apron, and then he takes Dominik down, but then Dominik goes to the outside. Veer and Dominik, he sends Dominik to Rey Mysterio. Once we're back from commercial break, Veer gets taken to the middle rope head first. He picks up Dominik, but then Dominik escapes. We get a back elbow by Veer. Veer then runs shoulder first onto the ring post. Then at this point, Dominik hits the 619 in the corner. Then he goes to the top and he hits a beautiful frog splash. We get a cover and Veer goes for an immediate kick out after that. Then after that, Veer counters the Tornado DDT. He hits a Furious Lariat and then takes him down. But Rey Mysterio hits a shotgun dropkick on Veer, causing the DQ, which is kind of a weird finish in my opinion. It looks like Rey, I'm not saying that this is happening, but, that looked like a heelish tactic in a way. Like, really? I don't understand why Rey Mysterio would just cause, Dominik he didn't cause Dominik the match, but he basically, he basically hit a dropkick on Veer, causing a DQ, which you guys know me, I do not like DQs whatsoever. It's just really stupid. We got the Judgment Day reveal. Yes, we got a new member segment, and this was definitely the highlight of the entire show. So Damian, of course, Judgment Day at Hell in a Cell defeated Liv Morgan, AJ Styles, and Finn Balor, which was a great, really good match. And Judgment Day really looked really strong in that particular match. And honestly, man, what happened here was shocking. I love it, but at the same time, for the majority, I love it, but at the same time, I'm questioning it, and this is why. So I'm going to be going through the segment and give you guys my thoughts on this whole craziness, that being, the whole Judgment Day, I don't want to say breakup, but kick out, I should say. So Damian Priest, of course, asks everybody to all rise for the Judgment Day. Rhea talks about how Rhea gets thematic and, says that control is an illusion that led AJ, Liv, and Finn to think that they were going to succeed last night. The Judgment Day was destined for victory. Their message was spreading like wildfire, and their destiny has no destinations. Priest says that their destiny has no limitations, and her destination is the Raw Women's Championship, that being he's pointing to Rhea Ripley, and says that her goal, that being Rhea Ripley's goal, is to beat Bianca Belair at Money in the Bank. And then Edge gets the mic. And then last night, Judgment Day basically did exactly what they were going to do. And Edge states that they are really proud of both Damian Priest, or he is really proud of both Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. Talks about how they have grown, and he looks at Rhea Ripley, says that she is a superstar wrecking machine. Damian Priest then stands taller with his head held much, much higher. And the reason is because they actually listened. But they weren't the only ones listening. Someone else was hearing their message. And he now introduces us to the new member of Judgment Day. And the new member of Judgment Day is none other than Finn Balor. Yes, the Prince, Finn Balor, is the new member of Judgment Day. I don't want to say that I was shocked. I was shocked about the attack. But Finn Balor being the new member of Judgment Day really wasn't as unpredictable as people made it out to be. Everybody knew that, one of the possible new members was definitely going to be Finn Balor. But Finn Balor comes out, both shake hands, and Edge says that he saw the look in his eyes. He says that he was a game changer, and he was one of the most talented men that he has ever seen in this ring. And Balor talks about how him joining Judgment Day was a calling. He needs to extend gratitude to both Priest and Rhea. At this point, Rhea, he talks about how Rhea shielded Edge when he went up to the top at Hell in a Cell, and he should have been furious, but he was in awe. But then what happens is Damian Priest gets the mic, and he basically puts over Edge for like a short period of time. But what happens is he later says that there was somebody that held them down, and that person was Edge, which led to Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, and Finn Balor attacking Edge out of nowhere. And at first, and I immediately tweeted this out. I tweeted out, "What the hell is WWE doing? This is such a stupid decision." And, the reason why I stated that is because of the fact that, at first I thought this was a full-on babyface turn, and I'm like, bro, they basically Russo swerved us right here. But that wasn't the case. No, they are still heels, and Finn Balor is now the new leader of Judgment Day. But at the same time, they beat the living shit out of Edge. But the thing about it is I love the turn, and I thought it was something completely unexpected, and I commend WWE for that. But at the same time, I'm really confused considering the fact that Edge with Judgment Day did not last like barely 3 months. So really, why did you do this turn now? If it was a situation in which Judgment Day was actually a faction that lasted for like at least over a year, and then you did the turn like that, it would have made a much better impact. Now, granted, I'm not saying that this whole, turn turned into, was not a big impact, because it was a big deal. Everybody was talking about it. My only gripe with it is just the fact that Edge Edge in Judgment Day, as the leader of Judgment Day, lasted like less than 3 months. So really, what was the point of this whole faction, to be quite honest with you? And I even came on this channel and I've even stated like the main point of Judgment Day is to get people like Damian Priest over and also to get somebody over like a Rhea Ripley. So that is my thoughts on the whole situation. Apparently, a report came out. I think it was Fightful that reported this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, what happened was WWE pitched some supernatural element to this Judgment Day faction, and Edge absolutely refused, which led to Edge getting kicked out. If that is the case, man, I don't know what the hell is WWE thinking, but again, man, like, this whole thing, as much as I'm happy, but I'm happy about this decision, like at the same time, I'm really confused and also really concerned, considering the fact that Judgment Day has like been one of my favorite aspects of Raw in general, and the fact that they immediately kicked out Edge and now have Balor as the leader is really weird to me. Where do I see this new faction going? I do not see. I mean, I always said like if you want to go full forward with this faction, Edge should be the WWE champion. And honestly, though, I wouldn't mind Finn Balor if he was the WWE champion as well. I think it'd be absolutely amazing. But at the same time, do you honestly think WWE is going to be, paying attention with these guys and putting them in major programs? Honestly, I do not think so. We got Omos versus Cedric Alexander. It was a squash match. Omos got the win. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Yes, those two guys actually come out and they make their return. And it looks like they're now baby faces. It says that they're happy to be back, but MVP immediately comes in, and then Dolph kicks MVP out, and, both go at it. And then which leads us to Ezekiel versus Otis. Yes, we got Ezekiel versus Otis. Overall, this was not that bad of a match, but again, I mean, what was the point of this match? We get a spinning back elbow by Otis. Otis goes for an overhand chop into the corner. He picks up Ezekiel, and then he hits a suplex. Ezekiel fights back, and then he hits a clothesline, but then Otis no-sells. And basically what happened is it was a pretty good match. Ezekiel looks great, and Ezekiel got the win. But Kevin Owens comes out and talks about how he was feeling generous, and he got, basically, Ezekiel wanted a rematch. And what happened was he asked Kevin Owens for a rematch. Of course, Kevin Owens did win at Hell in a Cell. And KO stated that, you will get your match on one condition. You have to admit that you are Elias. And, Ezekiel says, yeah, okay, I am Elias. And KO, then after that, just immediately celebrates. And then Ezekiel pulls an Eddie Guerrero and says that, I lied. And, he hits the knee on Kevin Owens and, all the heels try to attack Ezekiel, but that wasn't the case. So yeah, man, honestly, what are my thoughts on this segment? To be quite honest with you, it was pretty entertaining, and we're definitely going to be getting another match once again between both Kevin Owens and Ezekiel. Am I going to be interested and invested in it? No, but at the same time, it's pretty entertaining, especially because of the fact that it's Kevin Owens we are talking about. We got our main event. We got Alexa Bliss and Rhea Ripley and Doudrop versus, or I should say Alexa Bliss versus Rhea Ripley versus Doudrop versus Liv Morgan. I always questioned why Doudrop was in this match. I thought putting her in this match, like, what did she do to be a part of this match? Really, nothing. I feel like it should have been a fatal four-way. You should have had Alexa Bliss versus Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan, because I think those can be definitely destined for main event status. But I don't know why Doudrop is in the match. I mean, like, Doudrop, what has she been doing? Like, she's been in a tag team with Nikki ASH, and there's no women's tag team championship because of the whole Sasha and Naomi situation. Not only that, apparently WWE stopped and didn't make any announcements, or I believe they already abandoned the concept of a tournament for the women's tag team championships. But that's just me. But the match starts. Alexa and Doudrop go at it. Rhea and Doudrop face off. Both Rhea and Doudrop exchange shots. Rhea kick on Doudrop, and then he tries to pick up Doudrop, but then Doudrop tries to pick her up instead. She goes for the waist lock. We get a running knee into the corner. But out of nowhere, Liv tries to go for the drop kick, but then Doudrop hits the senton on the outside. I'm literally rushing in my notes considering the fact that Dynamite is literally in 20 minutes. We go to commercial break, and once we're back from break, Doudrop is in control. Doudrop proceeds to take Liv out. Then after that, we get a headbutt on Alexa. She goes to the top, but then Rhea comes in and goes up. She fights off Doudrop, and then Liv and Alexa come in, and there's a whole Tower of Doom, and they all get taken down. Then after that, we got a double cover by both Alexa and Liv, but then both Alexa and Liv go for roll-up attempts. And bro, like they were literally rolling around the ring when it came to these inside cradle attempts. Then after that, Alexa Bliss hits the DDT. Alexa goes to the top, and then she goes for the Twisted Bliss, but then she gets taken to the outside. Liv then tries to hit the Oblivion, but Nikki ASH counters. Nikki then clotheslines Alexa to the outside, but then Doudrop picks up Liv and goes for the Michinoku driver. Then we get a cover and a dropkick by Rhea, causing a near fall. Rhea then goes for the Riptide, but then we get a cover and Rhea wins the match, and she will now face Bianca Belair at Money in the Bank. Overall thoughts on this match? It was a pretty good match for what it was, and definitely the right woman won in this scenario. 100%. I definitely do see Rhea Ripley possibly beating Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. Maybe I'm going a little bit ahead of myself, but honestly, that is just me. But yeah, man, that was my Raw review from June 6th, 2022. Overall thoughts on the show, really the only two big stories coming off of Raw was Seth Rollins attacking Cody Rhodes, and of course, the turn with Judgment Day and Judgment Day kicking out Edge out of the group. But yeah, man, everything else on the show was just really not that interesting. But yeah, that was Monday Night Raw. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Broken Havoc podcast. And as always, it is Broken Havoc, signing out.